Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, just how much has government spent so far on the Grand Lucayan Resort? What had senators pointing fingers and hurling insults in the upper chamber? Plus, how young Bahamians can become homeowners in western New Providence. Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, the government has spent over $100 million on the Grand Lucayan so far, according to Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar. In an interview with Kyle Joaquin today, he insists it has been worth every penny.
I think it's probably north of $100 billion buying the property. But always remember where we were.
The tourism minister revealing to Our News today that the total bill so far, including purchase, is in excess of $100 million. But de Aguilar says prior to the pandemic, plans for the sale were running smoothly, and now the deal isn't as good as it was.
Yes, it's difficult. And yes, now with hindsight in 2020 and looking back, oh, well, you're spending over $100 million on it. But our intentions were correct, and our outcome, was going to prove that out. And then coronavirus hit, and now we are in a far less better position than we were in March 2020.
On Wednesday, Lucayan Renewal Holdings Limited Chairman Michael Scott said monthly costs were really due to things like electricity.
$1 million a month. But a lot of that, for example, are utility charges. What we pay here for power, and we have to keep the power on because otherwise, if we don't keep the refrigeration on, mold starts to set in, and that creates other health issues. Yeah. So these things are unavoidable costs.
De Aguilar said while that figure may seem high and spark some backlash from political opponents, the money spent has been worth it as government prepares to close the deal with Royal Caribbean and the ITM Group.
Do I think we made the right decision? Absolutely. Did we have a suitable outcome? Yes, we did. Did coronavirus throw a wrench in that? Yes, it did. And now we have to work our way out of that. And we are confident that Royal Caribbean and ITM will come to the table. It won't be the deal that it was because, their company has been so significantly impacted.
While he previously said government would get less than agreed to for the property due to the pandemic, de Aguilar still would not say what the new figure would be. Government purchased the resort for $65 million in August of 2018. There has since been the separation of employees, with just over 30 workers brought back for Thursday's opening, with more to come as occupancy increases.
Hopefully when the new owner takes over, they will take all of the staff that have been re-employed.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
A dictatorial overreach and overarching policy is how 177 Shantytown residents describe a policy to demolish shantytowns around the country as the Shantytown hearing got underway today. Jared Higgs tells us more.
Those Shantytown residents allege that government Shantytown demolition plans amounted to an attempt to eliminate ethnic Haitian minority communities and have them integrated into Bahamian communities. They also claim that shantytowns are healthy, livable neighborhoods and not ghettos, and there's nothing illegal about the communities. Smith got to the judicial review and constitutional motion proceedings underway, relying heavily on minutes from a meeting of the Shantytown Action Task Force on January 3, 2018, to argue that the task force, headed up by Labour Minister Dion Folks, had a cabinet mandate to eliminate shantytowns on New Providence and the Family Islands. He also pointed to comments by Works Minister Desmond Bannister made to reporters where he said government is committed to eradicating shantytowns. Smith argued that the policy is problematic because government does not own the land, evidenced by comments by the Labour Minister, and therefore has no immediate right to the land. Therefore, Smith says government can't evict people from the land, nor can they make the landlords evict their tenants. Smith told the court that the policy affects 20,000 Shantytown residents, and the case is an important one on protecting the rule of law. He argued that the policy was too general and compared it to police surrounding a community and searching every home for drugs. He says the decision maker, whether the minister or a Ministry of Works official, ought to put their mind to each resident's circumstances. Another issue raised was a description of the communities as unregulated. The Shantytown residents argued that regulated communities or subdivisions are a recent development in the Bahamas, and historically, people built in clusters around the country. Speaking about the homes in Shantytown, Smith says they aren't shacks or homes on the side of the road. He says they've been around for decades. Turning to the Over the Hill project, that lists social and economic empowerment as objectives. Smith argued that the policy toward Haitian ethnic communities was discriminatory compared to other over-the-hill communities with similar features. He questioned why a similar plan was not made for ethnic Haitian communities. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
In other news, debate on the Airport Authority bill getting off to an explosive start in the Senate this morning as Attorney General Carl Bethel and Leader of Opposition Business Fred Mitchell went head-to-head. Jasmine Brown reports.
You want to go down that road? You want to go down that road?
No.
Do you want to go down that road?
You need to sit down and let me make my presentation.
Where is the point of order? Do you want to go down the personal road?
Senator Mitchell.
I want to go down the personal road because I could match you, I could match you right now.
Mitchell.
Right now, every nasty blow you throw, I'll cut you down. I'll cut you down if you want to go down that road.
Just a minute.
So get that nastiness, personal stuff out of here. It doesn't belong in here.
You can cut me down?
Absolutely. If you try that,
I'll cut you down too.
It was a comment from the AG about Mitchell's age that prompted the fiery response from the PLP senator. Bethel later withdrew his comment after Mitchell accused him of being slimy.
My age is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's a nasty, filthy thing to say. Nasty, worthless.
That was just one of many explosive exchanges that erupted between the opposing senators as the Attorney General kicked off debate on the Airport Authority Amendment Act. They also argued over the Progressive Liberal Party's stance on a decision by the government to purchase the Grand Bahama International Airport.
They do not have anything good in mind for you.
No hospital beds for women to get operations today. You talking foolishness?
Senator Mitchell.
One hospital bed.
Senator Mitchell, you have not been recognized. Please take your seat.
In Freeport. You got nothing you done in 4 years. Nothing.
The argument did not end there as Bethel pulled out the big words to respond to Mitchell.
Madam President, I'm asking for the protection of the chair from this pusillanimous behavior.
Some individuals who are wrapped.
Google it. Pusillanimous.
What? You calling me a coward? The last thing I am is a bloody coward now. Don't go there. I keep telling you to stop it.
You not allow me to make my presentation here.
You are impugning my personal integrity. You attacked me personally about age, and now you're attacking me about... Get out of here.
But the AG persisted. He criticized the opposition's conduct during debate on the same bill in the House of Assembly. Opposition MPs abstained from the vote on the bill on Wednesday night. Bethel said that position was far-sighted and accused them of not acting in the public interest.
My. Let your yes be yes. Let your no be no. So says the Bible. Anything else, including an abstention, comes from the evil one.
It is the role of the opposition to state its position. That's part of the Constitution, part of the democracy. And it doesn't mean because you state a position opposite the government that it's not in the national interest.
Well,
that is false. Clearly, that is false.
Despite the heated exchanges, the bill was passed in the Senate on Thursday afternoon with opposition senators abstaining from the vote. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, a man was remanded to prison pending sentencing after he admitted to exposing himself to a girl as she walked to school Thursday morning. 28-year-old Joel Griffin spoke loudly to himself and turned to look out of the window before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt called his case this afternoon. He appeared to understand when the magistrate read the indecent exposure charge to him. Prosecutors allege that Griffin exposed himself to the 10-year-old student of Palmdale Primary at Madera Street. When Ferguson Pratt asked for his plea, he said, "I plead guilty." The court, however, has not yet accepted his plea. The prosecutor is expected to read the summary of the evidence of the case when it goes to trial at noon on April 1st. If Griffin accepts the summary, the magistrate would proceed to sentencing. And 6 weeks after announcing its first well, Perseverance No. 1 failed to yield commercial quantities of oil, Bahamas Petroleum Company has announced its plan to secure an extension for its 4 southern licenses to drill another exploratory well in the Bahamas. This would be the third time BPC has applied to extend its licenses, this time for a 3-year drill or drop exploration period. That means if the company does not drill within 3 years, the licenses would be forfeited. BPC BPC's licenses expire in June, and the company must apply for an extension 3 months before the expiration. BPC says it intends to finance the second exploratory drilling via an entirely new farm-out process, introducing a funding and operating partner for the next stage of exploration activity in the Bahamas. And Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis revealing more details on that Western New Providence development for young professionals. Dr. Minnis giving notice in Parliament last night to move a resolution at the next sitting of the House to allow for the development of upscale residential communities.
This portion is next to Balmoral. As you all know, Balmoral in the west on Sanford Drive. The office of the Prime Minister is on the opposite side of such land that is being preserved, 10 acres of land preserved for the official residence of the Prime Minister is on its eastern boundary.
Minnis says several banks have said once they determine the land is worth $150,000 or more, the equity is such a vast amount that individuals would not have to come up with any down payment to construct their homes. The purchase of land in the community will be limited to people between the ages of 18 and 45.
They would be able to purchase the land multi-family. The intention of this first development will be 150 lots, 40% multi-family, 60% single family. Multi-family lots we purchase at $50,000, and the single family lot will be purchased at $40,000.
The government will also waive customs duty on all building materials and appliances for homes in the community. Young professionals will not be required to pay stamp tax and will be exempted from paying real property tax for 2 years.
We will establish a committee again, and the committee will set the rules and the policies as to the selection of individuals so that there'll be fair play for each and every being.
Well, the evening is beginning to cool off after another hot day. Greg Thompson has the latest over in the Weather Center.
Thanks, Christina. Our first look at weather tonight is being brought to you by Ports International for all your medical supplies and your equipment needs. Another warm day around the island, summer-like temperatures on the outside. We are in the mid-70s once again this evening. Few clouds, winds out of the southeast, a little bit of a breeze, but your feels-like temperature is still in the mid-70s. Quiet weather around the islands once again in our satellite view. Nothing really to talk about. We have that stiff east to southeasterly flow across the islands, bringing in some patchy clouds. We could possibly see 1 or 2 small showers later on tonight. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, the Grand Lucayan welcomes its first guest, plus the court step into the digital era. The details after this.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
It was all smiles at the Grand Lucayan today as the resort on Grand Bahama welcomed its first guests. Jillian Gray has more.
It was a day Grand Lucayan hotel workers have been waiting on for months.
A ray of hope, that's what it feels like.
And I'm here, excited, we're open, and it's good to be back to work. It is good to be back doing what you love.
Latoya Stewart has worked in the tourism industry for 15 years and says after not serving guests for quite some time, she was on cloud 9 seeing the first guests walk through the door.
Came here to bring my family on a little quick vacation, try to bring some normalcy back to life. Chose to come to the Bahamas. It's not too far away from Miami.
Leighton Brown says the process to bring his family over was smooth. The Miami residents are looking forward to fun in the sun over the next 4 days. And if they're looking for more to do, front desk associate Maurice Hall says he's happy to help with that, as one of the bonuses to the hotel being back in business is the fact that tours and local attractions also get some business.
I'm pretty sure everyone was excited to see the first guest opening because there was lots of things in the news previously about the hotel and everything and the speculation of it opening up. So it was definitely an exciting feeling, kind of a relief to see them walk through and still have those same smiling faces of people excited to come back here on the island.
Randy Strawn has always worked in the tourism industry, but it's his first day with the resort. Heads in beds now means that Strawn can provide for his family.
It means a lot to me, especially to my family, having the ability to come out and work and put bread on the table. It's awesome.
About 5 families are checked in thus far, and front desk manager Anitha Cooper says more should be on their way. From the beach to the pool, fine dining to an extensive bar menu, Cooper is encouraging Bahamians around the country to come and experience the Grand Lucayan. Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
From the courts, a 26-year-old man today charged with the February 8th murder of Kendrick Ferguson. According to police, a man was shot in the face at Lincoln Boulevard near Homestead Avenue and later died in hospital. Sean Higgs, in the blue, red, and white shirt, was also charged with the attempted murder of Ramiro Roll. That incident reportedly took place on March 14th on Homestead Avenue. Higgs was also charged with 3 counts of possession of a firearm with the intent to endanger a life. He was not required to enter a plea to the charges, and bail was denied. He returns to court on June 8th. And the Office of the Judiciary celebrating the official rollout of DigiPay in the courts, which will also allow for cashless transactions across government agencies. Giorgio Bain has that.
The judiciary joining the Department of Immigration, which fully implemented the DigiPay platform in October 2020. Chief Justice Sir Brian Morey called the move monumental.
Now, as of today, lawyers and court users will no longer have to provide checks or cash when filing documents in those courts, and members of the public will not have to carry large amounts of cash when paying fines. DigiPay is a significant upgrade of the court service platform.
The new payment system is currently available at the Magistrates Court, Court of Appeal, and Supreme Court in New Providence. According to Morey, the judiciary is working with the Ministry of Finance to have the DigiPay platform extended to the courts on Grand Bahama.
The direct benefits for the public of all these initiatives, and many more to come, will include easier and more convenient access to court services, the reduction of the waiting time for court dates, the proactive and focused case management by judicial officers, which will reduce the number of adjournments and delays. 4, the reduction of the amount of time it takes to complete cases.
Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson said the platform uses industry standards to ensure all payment information is safe.
None of the information is stored. For example, in any of the databases, it's all passed through just for verification. And so the issue of us storing data and someone breaking in and taking data just simply would not arise.
Asked if the new system could eliminate cashier jobs in the courts, Morey said no.
However, what will happen is that there will have to be a fairly significant retraining and retooling of skill sets that will have to take place in the judiciary specifically. But we are at the moment very understaffed in the judiciary.
Reporting for our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Still to come, a new Martini bar unleashes your inner James Bond. And Marcellus Hall catches up with Kai Jones. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. Days after prison officers protested due to overdue promotional exercises and appointments, President of the Correctional Officers Staff Association, Corporal Hervey Culmer, says he expects those appointments and promotions to be announced this week. National Security Minister Marvin Dames telling our News he was disappointed in the protest, adding the matters are complete and it's just a matter of when the ministry releases them.
Well, the minister has said, he himself said it on national TV, that these matters are finished, So we expect it within the week. Seeing that these matters are finished.
Culmer is also disputing the minister's claim that the last communication on record between the association and Dames was last March. Culmer says his records show otherwise.
In actuality, I have minutes here from a physical meeting, September 17, 2020. After that, we would have sent a correspondence requesting an update November 12, 2020. For matters prison promotional exercise, outstanding confirmation letters, conditions of service. What I do not appreciate is the minister trying to blindside the Bahamian public to act as if there was no line of communication, because there was.
Well, a new dining spot is shaking up Paradise Island. The Martini bar at Ocean Club is serving up custom creations the resort hopes will appeal to locals. Bethany McDermott got a sneak peek.
What started out as a drinks-only bar has been stirred and shaken into Paradise Island's newest hotspot, the Martini Bar at the Ocean Club, a Four Seasons resort. Come Friday, locals can sip on a beluga martini, spice passion martini, or say oui to a French martini at the bar, which can comfortably seat 50. Hotel manager Kristen Wiley says they hope to cause a stir among locals.
We only used to serve drinks here before, but then we came up with a great concept to attract the local market, and we have some nostalgic food that will be available.
In this COVID era, Wiley says there are certain protocols customers must follow.
Anybody that comes on property, they have to have an antigen test. That's 5 days valid.
Once guests enter this room packed with history, senior executive sous chef Simeon Hall Jr. invites them to immerse themselves in a one-of-a-kind craft drink experience and sink their teeth into culinary creations that offer an exotic mix of nostalgia and modern techniques.
For example, we have a Japanese Wagyu beef hot patty with truffle demi. We also have a boneless pork rib. There's several other things that you will be reminded of. We have a caviar-topped deviled egg.
So whether you're in the mood for a cocktail or cuisine, here's a taste of what's in store.
Well, first of all, this is the Four Seasons. It's already different. We are different. And obviously, this is a very nostalgic place. This room itself has a lot of history behind it, and we've kind of married that to our whole craftsmanship.
If you're interested in experiencing the Martini Bar, operating hours are from 6 to 10 p.m. every Friday and Saturday. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Thanks, Bethany. Tonight in sports, Bahamian Kai Jones looking to become the latest to join the ranks of the NBA. Marcellus Hall has the details.
All right, thanks, Christina. Welcome to our sports on a Thursday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. The Bahamas currently has 2 active players in the NBA. That number, it seems, could increase by at least 1, as Kai Jones of the Texas Longhorns has declared himself eligible for the 2021 draft. Now, pundits have him going as high as the top 15. Let's get more on that story. The Bahamas could have another NBA player in the league real soon. Bahamian Kai Jones of the Texas Longhorns declaring for the NBA draft yesterday. Jones, who was 6th man of the year in the Big 12, was a big part of the Longhorns' success this season, as they took the Maui Invitational title as well as the Big 12 Conference Championship before bowing out of the NCAA tournament in the first round upset to Abilene Christian. The 2021 NBA draft is expected to take place in November, with Kai, who just wrapped up his sophomore season, a projected potential lottery pick. Still with basketball, Doris Johnson Mystic Marlins senior boys basketball team holding their championship ring ceremonies yesterday at a small ceremony at the school. GSSA President Varel Clark Davis and Bahamian Basketball President, Bahamas Basketball Federation President Mario Boleg among some of the dignitaries in attendance. An emotional head coach, Danico Bowles, who suffered through the loss of one of his assistant coaches and the passing of one of his young children, was supported by his wife and team during an impassioned thank you speech. And that's a check on sports on this Thursday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
When our news continues, meet the young chef who's cooking for a cause. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. Pleasant weather conditions to end the week. Greg is back in the weather studio with the outlook.
Thanks again, Christina, and a happy Thursday evening, everybody. Beautiful conditions once again around the islands. High pressure remains entrenched across the area. Lack of clouds, keeping temperatures feeling summer-like. And we expect that high pressure to continue to strengthen a bit over the next day or two. So your winds will be picking up. So if you plan on doing any beaching or any boating, do exercise some caution for the risk of recurrence, as well as some choppy seas. Speaking of boating, we're talking about northwest and central Bahamas. Winds will be out of the southeast to south 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet over the ocean, while in the southeast Bahamas, east to southeasterly will flow 15 to 20 knots. Caution flag posted for you guys down there, seas 4 to 6 feet. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a great Thursday night, everybody. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. A young chef is giving back to the community with a food and clothing drive on Saturday. Chef Joel Johnson says it's thanks to assistance of generous donors.
Pick up clothes, food if you're hungry. But the whole point is, if you need help, and more geared to people who are too proud to ask for help. But if you want to pass by, you smell some good food, you see some clothes out, if you know you need it, just pick it up. We're not asking no questions. We're not trying to figure out your whole identity or whatever the case may be. It's just, hey, something I need, something my kids need.
Those in need can pull up and get clothing and a hot meal.
We're going to have some hot food given out for everybody. We're going to have some food, some clothes already packaged up, ready to give out. I have some people actually going through the communities as well, delivering where we could deliver. And I also have some nurses doing little pressure checks for people who need it. And it's just, it's going to be fun.
The food and clothing drive is set for Saturday at 1 p.m. on the park at the corner of Hospital Lane and Meadow Street. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas. On the Record with Jerome Sawyer starts right now.